Hello and welcome back to the iFox with Juice podcast. I am your host Juice, and I'm here with my co-host Rina Parsegan. Rina, what's up?
What's up? Yay! It's finally fight week.
Oh yeah, that thing's happening, isn't it? It's been a
It's
while.
finally here.
Yeah, it's been a
Excited?
while. It feels kind of weird. It feels like you're meeting with an ex or something. It's like this could go good, but it could go bad.
I love that. Exactly right. It's a stacked car, but yeah, you just never know.
It's in New York. People need to remember that. It's in New
Oh,
York.
that too.
If you have cracked lips, they might take you off.
Good old New
Shit
York.
happens. Yep.
Yeah, they got their own rules.
They don't play by nobody else's. Yeah, yeah. Well, we're obviously gonna talk about the fights this weekend and preview a few of the fights on the first ever ESPN Plus card. We've been fiending for some fights, as Rina just alluded to. So let's just get straight into it. A lot of other topics to cover, but we'll go straight with the fights for right now. We're gonna start with a female flyweight fight. Ariane Lipski is making her debut versus Joanne Calderwood. This, man, if you guys have not seen Ariane Lipski, you should really, well, you're going to see her in a few days, but you should go on YouTube and check out some highlights. She's fought in a few organizations. She's been in KSW most recently, and she's just been kicking ass, man. She's super exciting. She hits hard, especially for a flyweight. She's got some power, and she's just got this devastating Muay Thai style, especially against Joanne Calderwood, who also is a very good Muay Thai practitioner. Although she's been, rounding out her game, and she won her last fight by submission. Lipski has some submissions under her belt too, but I just hope that this is a stand-up fight. I hope they don't even consider grappling once. It's a stand-up fight. It should be really interesting. What are your takes, Reen? What do you think of Lipski? How do you think she's gonna do in her debut?
I honestly don't know much about her, but I did watch some of her highlights earlier today, and wow, she has a lot of power in her hands. She looks like she's going to be a dangerous addition to the flyweight division, so I'm really excited to watch this fight. I agree too. I would like for it to be just a straight up striking fight from both fighters. But with this though, I think I have to go with the veteran, JoJo. She's been in Octagon. She has that experience. She's been fighting in the UFC for a while too. So I gotta go with JoJo on this. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this fight for sure.
Yeah, octagon jitters. I mean, some people say it's not a thing. I do believe in it for a lot of people. And the thing with Lipski is, as good as she is, frankly, her competition hasn't been very good. I mean, that's not her fault. She's taking what she can, and she's been looking good, with the people that she's been facing. But JoJo is without a doubt her stiffest test. You do have to take that in consideration. But I'm actually going to go with Lipski. I'm thinking and hoping that she doesn't let the nerves get to her, and if she fights her fight, I think she can beat JoJo. I think it'll be very close. If they do decide to grapple, I'm not sure who will have an advantage there. That's kind of a toss up, but I think standing it'll be close. But Lipski's just got the power, and she's well schooled enough to know how to outpoint and just how to keep JoJo off of her. I do also hope that we see vintage JoJo, the JoJo that beat the shit out of Valerie Letourneau. If that one shows up for Zalewski, things could get real interesting, and I'd probably pick her. But I don't have that kind of expectation right now, so I'm just gonna go with the Brazilian. I'm just gonna go with Lipski on that one. Moving on, this is on the prelims, ladies and gentlemen. Cowboy Cerrone is fighting what's his first name? Is it Anthony? Anthony Hernandez? Why am I blanking on his name right now?
Alexander.
Alexander. Jesus, why did I go Anthony? Sorry. Yes, Alexander Hernandez. Thank you, Reen. Yeah, Cowboy going back down to lightweight. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna let you start on this one, Reen.
Okay.
And let me know your thoughts because I'm still a little stuck on it.
So yeah, Hernandez is a hot new prospect. He's 2-0 in the UFC. He took like a short notice fight against Beneil Dariush, and he knocked him out in the first round within under a minute.
Yeah.
So he can definitely push the pace, though. He did that with God, man, I just forgot his name.
Olivier.
Yes, with
Olivier
Olivier.
Mercier.
Yes, he can definitely push the pace. He showed that in that fight. He's very powerful, very strong wrestler. It's definitely going to be a step up fighting Cowboy, in terms of like skill and just his name. So man, I've been going back and forth with this one too. It's a good fight for Hernandez if he can get past Cowboy, but that's a big if, I believe. My pick with this one, I would have to go with the Cowboy too by sub. I don't think you can count out Cowboy yet, and I don't think he wants to be used as a stepping stone, because it seems like this is like a stepping stone fight for him, for Hernandez. So that if he brings that aggression out like he did with Mike Perry, then I think he's just gonna sub him.
Yeah, the Mike Perry is a little different because there was, although Cowboys had his issues with kind of being in his own head and not being, getting too personal with fighters, that, he wants to be friends with fighters. If it gets too personal, he seems to kind of like freeze. I don't know if Alexander's going to give him those kind of problems. I don't think he's going to want to make that. Looks like they've been cordial up to now, but he's also an asshole, man. I mean, with the Dariush fight, part of the reason I think he beat him is that he came out. Dariush was going for a glove touch, and I think he just stormed out and kicked him in the stomach. A real dick move, but it ended up paying off because he caught him by surprise and ended up knocking him out. If he does something like that against Cowboy, it honestly, it can be all bets are off. Even if Cowboy has the best training camp of his life and has all the perfect game plan, sometimes that shit just goes out the window. I don't know if I can fully trust Cowboy with that yet, especially with a younger guy who's athletic and as strong as Hernandez. Sub does sound reasonable. I think Cowboy can pull that off, but I don't know. I'm just getting this feeling kind of similar to the Till fight. I know a lot of people were surprised when Till beat Cowboy, but I remember like when I saw the weigh-in, I saw the size difference. I was like, man, I don't know. I knew how good Till's striking was. I thought there was a possibility he might lose, and I'm kind of feeling this here too. I think I'm gonna go with Hernandez just because I think he'll be mean enough and just get in his head a little bit, and knowing that he can push the pace a little bit, if he can just get in that gear to make Cowboy feel uncomfortable, I think he can take a decision. I think it'll be close. I think Cowboy's going to hurt him. I think he's going to have his moments, but I think Hernandez can do enough to win a decision. Moving on to the fight that all the boys came for, Rachel Ostovich versus Paige Van Zandt. Yeah, I probably studied this fight more than all of them, but weirdly enough, I would always fast forward through all the striking. I would always just go straight into the grappling for some reason. Maybe I wasn't paying attention enough to these fights when I was studying them. Did you see something that I didn't, Reem?
With this one, the next one we're about to talk about?
With Ostovich and Paige Van Zandt, since I was only looking at the grappling exchanges.
Oh, Lord.
I don't know. Something just, when they were standing, it just didn't catch my attention. I don't know why.
Oh, my God.
Skipped all that.
You know what? Man. Okay, I'm going to be a little honest here. When I was studying Rachel too, I was like, God damn, her boobies are nice.
Well,
they were glorious. Like, whoever did that work on her, God damn, she got her money's worth. I'm sorry for saying that. Sorry if I offended anybody, but shit, sometimes I gotta give compliments, right?
As I said last week, I'm not the biggest fan of that. I always thought Ostovich was beautiful, but it's kind of a little step down when she got the boob job. I loved her when she was natural, but yes, she's clearly, obviously, still very beautiful. But yeah, I don't know. The thing about this fight is that I feel like it's so closely matched. All things aside, looks and hype and honestly, all that stuff aside, I think they're very well matched because although Paige seems like she's forgotten it, they're both technically grapplers at heart. Paige she was at her best when she was coming forward, putting you against the fence, clinching, taking you down. And Ostovich is, he's a grappler. He's very good on the mat. But it seems like Ostovich has recently forgotten how to grapple, and it seems like Paige has too. But Paige is in a weirder spot because she wants to strike even though she doesn't have the acumen. She's going strictly based off athleticism, really. She's just doing spinning and flying shit just because she has the cardio and she's kind of limber. I don't know. I didn't like how Ostovich looked in her last fight against what's her name? Montana De La Rosa.
Hmm.
Oh, I couldn't say that name. That should have been a winnable fight for her, and she just was. It didn't seem like she was ever in it. It seemed like she just had bad fight IQ. And I this is nothing against De La Rosa. She's very talented, and I have a lot of respect for her. But the way that that fight was set up and the way that they matched up, that shouldn't have happened. At least not that easily. She just Rachel just seemed out of her element, and then Paige. It's been almost I think it's probably has been a year since she fought last against Jessie Jess. She broke her arm. I guess she's been out mostly because of that for a while. This is going to be her second fight at flyweight. What do you think, Green? Especially, well, I just talked about Paige's issue with her injury, but obviously we have this issue with Rachel and the elephant in the room of her recent domestic violence, her domestic violence stuff. Like, how do you think this is going to affect her?
Yeah, I don't know. Paige is the better grappler, I believe, between these two. Rachel's wins have been submissions mostly, right? Paige, she can mix it up because
Yeah,
she's
I
a little
mean,
bit more athletic. So
yeah, Paige can get some TKOs, and then obviously she got that flying head kick of Beck Rawlings, but
yeah,
not to be a dick, but that was kind of a fluke.
yeah. So I mean, and they're both coming off of losses here, so kind of evenly matched up in my opinion. But I think Paige will probably pull it off. Because I think her last fight was kind of a fluke. I mean, yeah, she was being dominated, but with Jess, the first two rounds.
Yeah,
But that last round, has she not broken anything? Has she not
yeah,
gotten injured? I think she would have possibly finished that fight because Jess was like getting gassed out.
yeah. She did. Yeah, she did look good, all things considered. I guess you're right, especially that she was injured.
Yeah,
Um,
Jess is a bigger fighter too, and you
yeah.
know, it, it was okay. But I mean, just thinking about that, and then Rachel's performance, and then Paige's body of work. Like, I think I have to go with Paige here for the win on this one.
The thing with the Jessie Jess fight though is that for the most part she was getting out grappled in that fight, and I don't think it was a size issue because I mean Paige went up for a reason. She was pretty big at strawweight, and I think she fits pretty well here. I know she's at least healthy. Sorry, we don't have to see those terrible pictures of her. She looked skeletal at one point, and she said in one of her last cuts to 115. So I mean, she at least looked healthy, but I don't know. There was something off about that Just fight. I think you're right there, but it wasn't for the right reasons. She had a bad game plan. I think that is part of it too, but also I don't know, something just looked off more than the broken arm. And I started thinking maybe I'm looking into this too much, but with how bad Rachel looked in the De La Rosa fight, maybe maybe this is just wishful thinking, and maybe just we know a little too much now because of her recent stuff. But I'm starting to think that maybe she wasn't in the right state of mind. She wasn't fighting to her best potential because she'd been having issues with her husband. She said that this last time that he hit her, that wasn't the first time. Who knows how long it's gone back? Maybe it's been a few weeks or months before that. Maybe it's been years. If you're having trouble like that, I'm assuming you're not going to be very focused for your fight, or it can even be traumatic, and it's bringing you back to trouble at home. So this is really just a gut pick, but I think I'm going with Rachel here. I really want her to win, given her story and stuff. I do want her to win. I am rooting for her, and I'm trying to be objective about it, but I just have this feeling that she hasn't been herself lately, possibly because of these issues she's been having in her marriage and at home. I just hope that was the issue, and we see the vintage Rachel Ostovich. That I remember seeing her when she first came on the scene, her first fight in Invicta, when she took the girl down like a flying scissor takedown. It was one of the most incredible things I've seen. I remember I was so high on her. I was like, whoever this girl is, she's gonna do big things. And then had a loss here, had a win there, she's basically been alternating wins and losses. So maybe based on that too, she had a loss in her last fight. Maybe it's time for her to get a win. So based on her pattern and based on her unfortunate home situation, I think she'll just have that fire inside her to prove a point and pull this fight off. Next up, we have Joseph Benavidez versus Dustin Ortiz. This is a rematch, actually. They fought a few years ago. It was a very entertaining fight. Benavidez clearly won, but Ortiz was tough as shit and never gave up. For such a one-sided fight, it was very entertaining. This is a hard one too. It seems like most of these fights are they're very well matched. I hadn't put much thought into how good these matches were on the matchmaking side. The thing with Benavidez is really tough for me to pick for or against him right now is that his last two fights have been polar opposites. He fought Pettis in the summer, Sergio Pettis, and looked like absolute dog shit. I mean, it looked like he forgot how to fight. He looked like an amateur, quite frankly. And he still toughed it out and made it to a decision, but Pettis ended up winning on points. But then his last fight against Alex Perez, I believe that was the guy's name, Alex Perez, he beat the shit out of him and basically finished him twice because the referee did such a terrible job that he stopped in the middle of it. And once he didn't call the fight, he had to go back and continue beating the shit out of him. So he basically got two TKOs in one round. And Ortiz is coming off a knockout as well, a head kick knockout, which is rare for him because he hasn't been known for his power. Part of me feels like Benavidez is on the decline, but I haven't seen too much. I don't know how much to put into Ortiz's knockout. I'm just gonna kind of roll the dice here. I'm gonna go with Benavidez on this one. How about you, Reen?
Yeah, I'm the same way too, because just the finish he had with Alex Perez, that was surprising. Like the first round, he just came out of nowhere. I was going back and forth with this one too.
Yeah, because the thing is too, Perez was a really good prospect. Like I was very high on him. So that is an impressive win. It's not like he just beat some scrub. Although some people didn't know him too well, he is a very talented guy.
Yeah, and I know Ortiz has improved over the years, and he's currently riding on a 3-fight win streak. You know, he's had some finishes here and there, whereas Benavidez, he's been riding a long decision run. All his fights have been going to decision, or like the distance. So, God, he's had a lot of octagon time and just wear and tear on his body. And I had all those things in my head because this is so hard to call. Shit. You know what? I'm going to just go with Ortiz via decision. I'm going the opposite way. Yeah, I think he's going to get this win back.
It goes to show how closely matched these fights are. This is, I think, the first card where up until now, we've gone with different picks, which is rare. We almost always go with similar picks, but we got two more fights to discuss. We'll see how we go here. I'm just gonna call this the co-main event because the co-main event that's actually happening is not worthy of attention or praise in any kind of way. I'm sorry for Alan Crowder. I'm sure you're a good guy, but unfortunately the guy you're fighting doesn't need more attention than he's already getting and definitely is not deserving of the co-main event spot. So I'm just going to say that Gregor Gillespie and Yancy Medeiros is the co-main event, and that's what we're going to preview next. This is a really, really, really interesting fight because I think in character they're very similar. I think Gillespie and Medeiros, they're both gamers. They're both down for a scrap. But Medeiros is obviously a brawler. He loves to strike, and Gillespie's a wrestler. I'm a big fan of Gillespie. I'm usually not the biggest, I don't lean towards wrestlers too much, but I like his style because he's very gritty, very blue collar type guy. It reminds me of like a Darren Elkins or a Frankie Edgar. He has that style where he's not too athletic. He's just mean and determined. And Medeiros, I mean, how do you not love the guy? He's just always down for a scrap. I feel that, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen Gillespie's chin tested up to this point, really. So Medeiros can definitely crack and he can definitely take him out. But I feel like his wrestling's gonna be there. I think if he gets his hands on him and he can continue to get his hands on him, then Medeiros isn't gonna have a shot here. I think he's just gonna take him down and continue to take him down and possibly get a submission at one point. So I'm gonna go with Gillespie here.
Okay, we actually agree on this one.
Okay. What
Man.
is it? Is it more along the same lines where you said? You think the wrestling will just be the key factor, or do you see something else?
Yeah. Yeah, he has a lot of punching power too. He uses his hands to set up his takedowns, and you know, he can throw elbows, knees in the clinch. Like I love watching him fight.
Yeah, he's not a bad striker, and he knows where his limits are. He knows what strikes he can use and what he can do to get the fight to the mat, to do what he has to do without taking too much damage.
Yeah. But yes, he's the same way. He's such a game fighter. This is so cool for him, for Gillespie if he happens to win this fight with a familiar face, you'll get more eyes on Gillespie's eyes, but man, it just sucks because I love ENC. I like the way he fights. It's too bad that he's had to, pull out of the Mike Perry fight because of injuries and the fight against Cowboy. He got what? He lost TKO, KO,
Yeah,
right?
first round, yeah.
That was rough too. So
First or second round, either way, it was very early.
yeah, it was rough. I thought it was going to be a longer fight. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, this is going to be a tough fight for Yancey. So,
And then he's going. Hey, that's the other thing. Who knows if this is going to be good or bad? He's going back down in weight. I was almost forgetting that this is and he hasn't fought. Actually, the Cowboy fight that was a year ago, basically too, and
mhm.
that was his last fight.
Yep. And yeah,
So
I heard him say like, "Oh, I changed my diet and I'm not walking around as heavy and I'm training smarter now." But with Gillespie though, this is going to be a tough call. But yeah, I got to go with Gillespie.
yeah, and Gillespie's not the biggest one, but this will say a lot. If he can pull this off, this will say a lot because Gillespie's. I don't think he cuts too much weight. He's a good. He has a good like athletic figure. He's not this physically imposing guy, but if he can take out a guy like Medeiros, who's a much bigger guy, and do it in the way he usually does it, he just wrestles the shit out of him. It's gonna this should really propel him up the rankings. I don't know. I don't think Medeiros is ranked at all, but given his body of work, he's definitely going places, and that's not easy to do or to even predict at lightweight. But I really have faith in him. I really think he's gonna do something sometime soon. Moving on, main event, super fight. Seems like some people don't want to call it that for whatever reason. Maybe it's hatred of TJ or hatred of Cejudo or hatred of both, or maybe just the fact that we don't know what's exactly going to happen with flyweight given the result of this fight. It doesn't even seem like Dana's too sure. But all bullshit aside, politics aside, weight classes aside, this is a super interesting fight. TJ Dillashaw, the bantamweight champion, is going down to face Henry Cejudo, the guy who just dethroned Demetrius Johnson, people that most people consider the guy that most people consider the GOAT. Yeah, he's going down to take the flyweight title. As I just said, we don't know what's going to happen with the division, especially should TJ win. But according to him, he sounds like Dana, quote unquote, paid him to kill off the division. So who knows what truth there is to that? And Dana seems like ho hum about it. He wants to know what's going to happen first before he says anything. But this is a really interesting fight, not just for the stylistic matchup, but the fact that TJ is the first guy who is going down to get another belt. The champs, we've had three of them so far. Connor, he went up. DC, he went up. And Amanda, she went up. This is the first time that a fighter's going down to try to take a belt. And should he win, he'll be the only one to do it going down a weight class instead of up. But he's been looking very, very frail lately, concerningly so. I think I've said enough for right now, Rain. There's a lot to say on this fight, so I'm just going to give you Rain right now. You go ahead. What are your thoughts?
I think I initially said that TJ is going to take that belt and keep his belt for a while too, right? His bantamweight belt. But just looking at his weight cut and just watching him, like, I don't know if he's going to be able to perform like he does in his weight class. Um, it sounds like he's doing very well with this, mathematician helping him out, the people around him helping him out with a weight cut. He said that he's to wrestle at this weight, but he's a little older now, right? So
Yeah.
that's what concerns me. Like his body of work, he has it all. He has all these records, but he's going down, and that's what concerns me. So I'm not really sure how this is going to go. I still don't know. Like my notes are blank. Like I don't know. I keep saying yes, TJ, because yeah, I have a little hatred toward Henry Cejudo. He got my he has my favorite fighter's belt, and he got my favorite fighter traded.
Oh,
So
Demetrius Johnson's your favorite fighter?
he's like one of my favorite fighters. Like I love watching him fight. People think he's boring to watch, but like I love watching his fights because it's so technical. The
That's funny. No, I mean, I'm a big DJ fan too. I mean, still am, but I didn't know that. That's interesting. So yeah, you definitely have a bias there. Yeah, I get it.
yeah, so it's like I'm going back and forth, but man,
Did you think that Cejudo beat him? I know a lot of people think that it seems kind of split that he actually did beat him or that DJ should have won. Well, what do you think?
I think DJ should have won that fight.
You think? See, and actually, it's funny. Funnily enough, I forgot to mention this. I was in Staples Center. I caught both of these fights. It was the co-main event with Cejudo Johnson, so I saw him beat him. And when I was in the arena, I did think that Cejudo won. And then I saw TJ beat the shit out of Garbrandt. Um, that was obviously there's no controversy there, but yeah, I did when I saw it live. I did think Cejudo won. I've seen it since, and from the last time I saw it, still feel that the Cejudo won. But yeah, it was way closer than I remember in the arena. Because in the arena, everyone was just like, "Oh shit, is this really happening?" Like in between rounds, everyone was just looking at each other like, "I don't know, man, who's winning? I don't know, I don't know." And when he won, it seemed like most of the arena agreed and were happy that Cejudo won. So in that night, it seemed like it was the right choice. But yeah, I definitely get why people think that Demetrius won as well.
Yeah, because I'll make all kinds of excuses for him, man. He got hurt.
Oh yeah,
But
he broke his foot, right?
yeah, he was 100%. So had he been like 100%, maybe. But
I
kudos to
remember.
Henry.
Yeah, he got hurt too. The ankle thing, the nerve thing, or whatever it was.
Yeah, so kudos to him too. But I mean, it's just yeah, it's my favorite fighter, and he's now gone. So, but yeah, TJ, NorCal guy, he's in SoCal now doing his thing. Yeah, Dwayne Ludwig was actually on Ariel's show talking about his weight cut, and he's doing well with that. He's performing well with that in training. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, I was reading some of the comments on that video too, and somebody said the cut to 125 should be easy for him. He's just got to shed his skin. So
But
I thought that was funny. Shed his skin because he's the snake in the grass.
oh, I thought you were literally saying something that like his skin makes him look skinnier and weaker than he actually is because he's been looking like shit in these videos and these pictures.
Yeah, he really does look rough, man.
Well,
Yeah,
the funny thing is
face.
though, like some of the pictures that I've seen, his body looks more or less the same, but his face looks like you know just he looks like a prisoner of war. But his
Yeah,
body doesn't look too different, so I
yeah,
don't know. Maybe this mathematician guy, he knows something we don't, or maybe his body's just he just has a weird metabolical issue or something where he keeps his frame, but his face is really sunken out. Who knows what he's doing? But I don't
yeah,
know. I think okay. I'm just gonna say something here. I went off for a bit, and I kind of did it on purpose too to kind of for you to gather your thoughts because I know it's not an easy fight to pick. But the more I'm thinking about it, I think I'm just gonna go with Cejudo. I think he's gonna do it for basically two reasons. I'm not counting out Dillashaw at all. Dillashaw's very talented. I still think he'll have the footwork. I think he'll have power. And I'm not 100% sure about his cardio, but I think it'll be good enough to go 5 rounds. I don't think he's going to hit the second or third round and start gassing out. It remains to be seen, but that's just my feeling. The reason I'm picking Cejudo is that um, I think Cejudo has a chin. I know that Demetrius knocked him out, but that was mostly body work. And I think he's worked on that since then. And if you've seen recent pictures, he looks jacked. That guy looks straight diesel. So I know I know he's put some, he's put the ab workouts on the regimen. So I'm not too worried about him getting knocked out unless he gets caught with a shot he doesn't see coming. But the thing about Cejudo, if you notice in the DJ fight, the thing he's done well, and then if you look at the Wilson Hayes fight too, he ended up knocking him out. But this weird stance that he's got, I know people talk about this karate stance and how weird it is and how he came to adopt this, but it's actually really interesting because if you look at the fundamentals of karate, a big part of it is covering distance. And Cejudo is a wrestler. Obviously, he wants to be a little bit close so he can get that single leg. But I think part of the reason he started implementing the style is that it fucks with you. The distance management, the open space. You know that this guy's a wrestler. He should be wanting to go after you, and all of a sudden he's in this open stance fight. He's at this long distance range, and he's throwing these weird kicks and these straight punches, and I think it just throws you off. And then once he starts peppering you up a bit, and you think you can strike with him, he takes you down. And then if you look at the Demetrius fight, he basically just never let Demetrius get comfortable. He always was in the center of the cage. Even when he was hurt, he was pressing the action, and then he'd go for those takedowns in those last 10 seconds to try and win the rounds. Shady or whatever, as you say, or a cheap move, but he did it, and he basically took him down every time he tried. And the other thing too is that the octagon control, obviously a part of it, but he was pressuring. I think Cejudo has learned to pressure, and I think he knows that can suit him well, and he's got good counters. It's going to be difficult to counter a guy like Dillashaw, but I think he can do it. And I don't think he'll be scared to get in a gunfight with him. Like, I think if he goes in that Cody Garbrandt style, just kind of swinging, I don't think he'll go that stupid. I don't think he'll be that stupid to just start, swinging leather like that. But I don't think he'll be afraid to throw in the pocket because he still does have power, and I think he can hurt Dillashaw. So I think based on his power and his wrestling, I think he can push Dillashaw. I think he can get him uncomfortable, and especially that Dillashaw likes to throw so many kicks. I think the minute he starts throwing kicks, he's going to take him down, and he's going to take that weapon away. Like after the first round, he's not going to feel comfortable throwing kicks. And then if it becomes a boxing match, I think Cejudo stands a much better chance. So I'm going with Cejudo by decision.
Opposites. I like it. I can't wait. I really can't. First UFC fight card of the year on ESPN Plus, right? I'm gonna definitely take advantage of that ESPN free trial period for this. And, check it out, check out the content, and decide if I want to keep it. But I'm really excited for this stacked card.
So you're going with TJ then?
Yeah, I'll go opposite. Yep.
Yeah. And what do you think? Was it obviously I know you have a little bit of bias, but what do you think? I mean, how do you think it'll end? What do you think can do it for him?
Man, I think he'll. God, it's so hard because of this weight cut thing. I keep going back to that, but I mean, he's so confident that he's going to finish him. So I mean, he's done it before. 135. I mean, hopefully they are doing the right thing. He keeps all his power. He keeps his speed. And he has a wrestling background too. He's saying, yeah, I have a better MMA wrestling background than him. And so it's an interesting fight. But if TJ shows up, healthy TJ shows up, then it's a wrap. I think he's going to take that belt from Henry.
It's one fight I didn't look back during this, and I should have now that I think about it. The fight with Dominic Cruz. Did Dominic took him down a few times in that fight? Am I right? Am I remembering that correctly?
Did he?
I'm
I
pretty
don't.
sure at least once maybe twice. I don't think it was a lot, but I think he did take him down. And obviously Dominic and Cejudo have much different styles, but
Mm-hmm.
what sticks out to me is that Dominic's a little bit more sneaky with his. He hides his entries very well and things along that nature. But Cejudo is just so explosive. He doesn't need to hide anything. If he just powers through and just goes for it, he can do it. Like I mean, the way he muscled DJ. I mean, some of those takedowns were exquisite. He had the perfect technique and drive on him. But there was sometimes where he just would like basically leap across the octagon and just come here and take him down. Like the how explosive he is with them is kind of shocking. And as good as Dillashaw is and as fast as he is, I have a hard time believing that he's gonna avoid him. You know, because that's one of those things you have to just not be in the way. Because if Cejudo's near you and he grabs his hands, I think you're just going down, like for sure.
Yeah, it's totally. Yeah, it's an interesting matchup for sure.
Yeah, and then maybe part of me is also pulling from obviously nothing's assured, but you just kind of get the feeling if Cejudo wins, it's more likely that the flyweights stay around. And I wasn't like the biggest. I'm not one of these people like, oh, I've loved this since the first day, and don't take it away. Like I've just started becoming a fan the past couple of years, maybe the last year or so, and started seeing the potential. And then Demetrius loses, and he's not there, but I still think there's a lot of talent there. So I'm really intrigued to see how it goes and how it turns out because I also don't want to see these guys get cut or be forced to move up in weight just because the division went away. I think it's better we have more divisions and all this weight cutting stuff of like we want people to be healthy. If you take divisions away, that's not really gonna help. It's gonna exacerbate the problem, not help it. So I guess just for that reason, well, not just for that reason, but part of the reason of why I'm going for him is to keep flyweight around and just have more fighters uh, be at healthy weight classes. Although I will say there's quite a few flyweights that cut a fuckload of weight, like over 20 pounds to get there. So those guys definitely need to move up. But guys like Benavidez, guys who've done it, no big deal. I want to see them still competing in their more natural weight class. So aside from Gillespie, we've differed on every single pick. So it's gonna be interesting to see next week when we tally the points of where we're at because we're pretty even right now. This is definitely gonna set us apart. So it's gonna be interesting. Moving on though, we're gonna talk about this weird, interesting story that came out. First read it on Bloody Elbow. There's this new invention called the iBox that was just been approved by the FDA that they say can help in diagnosing and recognizing concussions. This is a big breakthrough, and obviously it can help a lot in not just in MMA and just combat sports in general. But it was just an interesting story that I read from what you saw, Reen. What do you think? Is this a total game changer, or I mean, is it all good, or you think there's some possible negatives from this too? You know that maybe it's gonna be a little too good, and a lot of people are gonna be sitting out, or things
I don't
along those
know.
lines.
That's a good point that you just made. That it's potential, but potentially they could sit out more because they can figure out what's going on with them, right? With their brain, and if it's from a fight, an actual fight, or either from training or whatnot, they can immediately read and take care of it, right?
Yeah,
So,
we know that there's a chronic concussion syndrome that's a thing. Like
mhm.
what was his name? T.J. Grant, the former UFC fighter who basically had to quit fighting because he got a concussion and he never recovered. It sounds
Oh,
like that was the
right.
situation with Chris Holdsworth too, and then Joe Valtellini and Glory. He
Oh,
basically
that's right.
retired because of that. Yeah, so I mean that's obviously a little bit more severe. But what if something like this was around then and they realized that their concussions are who knows, maybe in those cases they could have helped them. Like you have a concussion, maybe you shouldn't be training or fighting right now.
Hmm.
But maybe it was also they were too far gone and they've had this for years and they probably it probably would have shortened their careers more because they see that they had some severe issues before they ended up getting this chronic concussion issue.
Well, I think it's great that we have something like this now out on the market. FDA finally approved it. Um, I hope they use it, and monitor it, document things so they can really understand what's going on with concussions in MMA. Because I think there's only one case um, where they recorded CTE was discovered in a young fighter. He was 25 years old.
Yeah, Jordan Parsons, who
Yeah.
unfortunately was killed by a drunk driver. I mean, that was a tragedy. That wasn't. I mean, maybe it's. I mean, his death is bad any way you cut it, but it wasn't a thing of that he died in the cage or anything like that. But still, I mean, exactly, he was young. He was 25, I think, and he
Mm-hmm.
was already showing these signs. And he wasn't. I think he only had like 9 or 10 fights. He wasn't this veteran who had like 30 fights or anything. So yeah, it'll maybe this will go along those lines that we don't have to go. This will be the first step in maybe seeing that this is a reality instead of waiting for people to die to realize that they had this issue with brain injury.
Right. Or maybe just helping fighters realize when it's time to retire.
Yeah,
Especially, the older ones that want to make comebacks or whatnot and not really, face reality that it's not a good thing to do. But yeah, I hope they start using it just to make sure, just for the health of the fighter.
so sometimes with commissions and state bodies and stuff like this, sometimes they're slow to change. As obviously, I mean, we're still having issues even now with the unified rules. It's been what, one or two, at least I think 2 years now that they were introduced, and only a few states have adopted them still. So that's an issue. Who knows if they're just gonna go up on this, and in a few months they'll be able to use this during fight night or up in a fighter's medicals leading up to the fight. Who knows? But yeah, it's I don't know. I guess for right now, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I just hope that for right now it can be used in gyms, and it can be used in gyms and doctors can talk to fighters, but it wouldn't necessarily rule them out of a fight. I wish it's just a thing that fighters need to realize what they're doing and take that decision for themselves. I don't want them to fully step in and say you can't fight as of yet, because I think the fighters need to make that choice first, and then we see some issues and then they do get knocked out or they're just not looking like themselves, then maybe we should talk about suspensions and reevaluating a fighter's career, things like that. Moving on from that. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned it. It's called the iBox. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. This is the name of this invention that just came out. I like EYE box, one word. If you guys wanna look it up and see what it's about. Moving on from that though, there's one fight that was announced. There's been a few fights announced, but one that I wanted to focus on. Um, Showtime. Anthony Pettis is saying that he's going to move up in weight. He's going to go to welterweight and fight Wonderboy, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I feel it's a really weird fight, but really intriguing. It can also be super dynamic and exciting, and it can also just be boring as shit. But it'll be very tense, which will make it somewhat exciting. Given the him going up in weight, he'll basically, I'm assuming he'll cut next to no weight. He should have that cardio, but the size discrepancy, especially against Wonderboy, who seems like one of the bigger guys in the division. I don't know. I don't think this can spell good things for Pettis, but I wanted to give him a shout out for showing mad heart or just having the balls to do this, because it doesn't seem like a favorable position for him to be in, but it should definitely make for a fun fight.
Yeah. Fun fight. Interesting fight. Taekwondo versus karate.
Yep.
So, and yeah, the height and reach advantage of Wonderboy. God, it's damn man, 155 to 170. He
Yeah,
hasn't even had time to like really get comfortable with this weight too, because he just fought, against Tony Ferguson, Anthony Pettis, right?
yeah. Well, he'd he'd done the he'd done the featherweight thing, and that was like 2 years. It was the last one was when he fought Holloway, and that was in 20 what 16. He came back. I remember he fought. I don't know if there's someone between there. I remember he fought Poirier. He lost that fight. Then he fought Chiesa, won that one, and then fought Ferguson and lost that one. I mean, I always liked him at lightweight. I thought that was his natural weight class, but he was never a big lightweight. So I don't know. I'm usually in favor of people going up in weight, but this might be a little bit too much. I hope he proves me wrong because it's better that people aren't killing themselves making weight or cutting weight in general. I think, but Wonderboy is just so damn big. I don't know. I'm gonna be excited to study this. Maybe some of the intricacies and the details of their styles. Maybe it can be very interesting. But as of right now, just the size difference is it's hard to get by.
Yeah, I mean, if he does beat Wonderboy, then what's next for Pettis?
I mean, he could theoretically be a top five contender.
What? And that, oh my God, there's monsters, bigger guys, like stocky, like muscle,
I mean,
physical specimens. That's scary.
I
Like,
mean, forget people like Woodley and Usman who can just beat the shit out of him. Even a guy like Colby, who's not even the biggest guy in the division, but just his style of wrestling. That seems like one of the worst style matches because, like, if you see what he did to RDA, just put him up against the fence and just drive, 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 drive. Like, that's gonna be a boring ass match, but it's the exact type of matchup that Pettis doesn't do good in. So,
he didn't do good with Alvarez.
and yeah, exactly. And Alvarez is a good lightweight, but he's not the biggest. So yeah, the Usman, Woodley, Colby, they're much bigger. You know, they just announced today too, Till versus Masvidal. It seems like that's signed for UFC London.
Ooh,
Imagine him getting the winner of that. That can be a reasonable matchup should he win. But imagine him against Till, that size difference, or even Masvidal, who's not the biggest guy, but man, that'd be more of a fair fight. But Masvidal's still a beast. That's not a good fight either way.
yeah, definitely a fun fight, but we'll see what happens. Jeez, Wonderboy, it's been tough for him to get a fight. He's been injured too, right? Pettis was
Yeah,
just injured, so they're just hungry for a fight. I
yeah,
like it. I don't love it, but I like it.
definitely fun. Yeah, it serves a purpose. I don't know what purpose, but as far as entertainment goes, I don't know what you can complain about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Moving on from MMA real quick, we got to talk about a fight that not a lot of people are even aware is happening. Although after today, maybe some people are aware because of some controversy. But Manny Pacquiao's fighting this weekend on pay-per-view. He's fighting Adrian Broner. You guys want to see it? It'll be $75 to see 40-year-old Pacquiao fight this guy who he should have mollywopped years ago. But given his current stage, who the hell knows what's going to happen? I kind of, full disclosure, I'm not a fan of either of these guys, and you shouldn't be either. Adrian Broner's a disgusting human being, and he showed that today by making some racist comments to uh, the Filipino media, insisting that they eat dogs and cats and whatnot. And Pacquiao endorses uh, Rodrigo Duterte, who is up there probably only with Ramzan Kadyrov as one of the most sickening leaders, political leaders in the world. So this is not this is not a fight that is easy for any guy, to root for either guy. But it doesn't even seem like it'd be that good of a fight. I think people are getting the wrong idea of Pacquiao because he beat Lucas Matisse in his last fight, but that was in China. Not to throw not to throw accusations, but honestly, who knows what kind of supplements he was on over there. And then Broner's just never looked impressive. The fights where he should look impressive, he always fails or just kind of squeaks by. So I don't see the significance of this fight, but it is happening. And if you guys didn't know about it, it just goes to show what a terrible job they've done promoting it.
I totally forgot this fight was coming up.
Yeah, I mean, especially when it's in on pay-per-view, like
In Vegas too.
in
It's in
Vegas.
the States. Yeah.
That's even the most surprising. I actually thought for a second that it may be overseas, that it might be in China or even the Philippines, and at least that would have been gotten some media, I guess. Consider that it being closer to Pacquiao's home, but yeah, it's here in Vegas, and I'm interested to know what the gate's gonna be because boxing always does good in Vegas. Pacquiao's been a draw, but at his age, at his stage, I don't know if he still is.
Yeah. That he's defending the belt against Broner, right? With this one?
I don't know if he's defending or if it's a vacant belt. I never know with the belts in boxing.
Yeah.
Because then there's times where they like, even if it's for a belt, sometimes they take all of them. I don't know. And people get stripped for no reason, and then you gotta pay. People get stripped just because they don't pay some kind of licensing fee. It's so fucking boxing is so wacky. But I just thought I'd mention that because it doesn't seem like anybody knows about it, and you know, people were talking about Canelo a lot last year with how good the Triple G fight did on pay-per-view, and then him getting the DAZN deal. But there's still a lot of fuckery in boxing. People talking like, oh, these UFC cards are not pay-per-view worthy. Well, boxing's even worse because you're just paying for one fight, and then like in a case like this, it's not even a good fight, and they're charging you way more. So
Yeah.
sometimes you gotta be, yeah, sometimes you gotta be grateful.
Right? Like, what, $75 for this? I don't even know who's underneath this, the undercard. Who the hell is fighting on this?
I haven't looked, but I'm sure it's no one important or no one you know of. So
Yeah.
not really much to look for there.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
Okay, so another story, kind of a scary story actually, that came out. Um, First came up in MMA fighting, I believe, that the UFC, they're coming. It's going to be a fight between Marlon Moraes, and Rafael Sunsao in Fortaleza, Brazil, and they considered moving it due to a bunch of violence that's been happening in that area of the country. It seems like it seems like some people are saying that because of the last minute moving of 232 from Vegas to LA, that they don't want to touch things like that right now, but it seems like a really violent, volatile, scary situation that's happening over there. And yeah, they don't seem like they're moving. It's happening February 2nd, so it's right around the corner. Um,
What the hell?
yeah, I mean, they would still have time to move. I guess it'd be better than the 6 days notice that they did for 232. But man, I mean, they really could be, if this keeps going. These riots is basically what's been happening from the sound of things. Uh, Prisoners have been calling on gangs on the street to cause riots. Um, it can be a really scary situation. I mean, there was that story. I know it's just one person, and it ended up well, but there was that story a week or two ago of the UFC fighter Poliana Viana stopping a mugger. That was just one girl in just some random part of Brazil. Right here, you have the city that's basically ready to rise up. So that's not a good sign. Obviously, we hope everything's well and nothing actually does happen, but you just kind of get the feeling that if something does happen, it's like you motherfuckers knew about this and they're gonna be going after their ass.
Yeah. For everyone's safety, I hope it dies down by then. I mean, yeah, they do have time to move this in a different location. And this is something you would want to move, not just for one person, and they're not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what baffles me. I mean, they're using bombs and guns, and there's been hundreds of attacks, right? 200, 300 attacks
Yeah,
already.
over a few days. It's not like it's been weeks and months. Over a few days.
Yeah, so I mean, if they're banking on having it die down, oh, that's risky, man. Just the people coming to the fights, the fighters, everybody, production team, everybody that's involved with, putting on this fight. That's insane, man. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
so risky.
And I know the situations aren't the same, and just slightly off topic, but like what's going on in France with these yellow vest people, these protesters. This has been going on for months, and they're basically tearing the city apart right now. And it seems like day by day, week by week, it gets worse. And it seems like all the time, like, oh, we're talking to them, things are calming down, but that doesn't seem to be the reality of the situation. The more that they try to bargain with them, the more it seems like the more violent they get, and that seems like a way more peaceful and way more, I don't know, I guess more appropriate thing that's going on over there in France. Whereas Brazil, it just looks like it's pure rage and pure violence. A lot, um, a lot harder to calm those type of people down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wonder how the fighters are going to feel. Like they have to arrive early, get
Yeah, I
set
mean,
up, and they're going to be
security,
there.
security must be fucking nuts. They better invest in a lot of security.
Right? How could you be relaxed trying to get ready for a fight with so much going on outside of it? That's
Yeah.
all around. It just sounds so bad, so risky.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So I had tweeted out a few days ago that I didn't mention it, but I tweeted out that we're thinking of doing this tweet of the week segment just to highlight one tweet that caught our attention. It can be for any reason. It can be that's very, very ingenuine, that's very smart, very witty, very funny, entertaining. So just kick off this segment for the tweet of the week. I decided to nominate a guy named Chris. He's on Twitter. His handle is at MMA Baller 13 underscore. And he cracked me up with the following tweet. He put Khabib running from the Conor rematch like this, and it's a gif of a big white woman running away in fear. I am not the biggest Conor fan in the world. This guy certainly is. I'm not the biggest Khabib fan in the world, but to imply that he's running from Conor is just ridiculous given how the first fight went. So seeing this tweet just put a smile on my face, made me laugh. So MMA Baller 13, you had you had blocked me a few weeks ago for me clowning on your shit, but yeah, I'm decided to highlight you here because I want to make you famous because your takes are hilarious for all the wrong reasons. So congratulations to you.
Congratulations. That was so funny. I'm just going through his tweets and whatnot.
The new word seems like Stan. You're a cyborg Stan. You're a Tom Brady Stan. You're these psycho fans. That guy's the epitome of a Conor McGregor Stan. But I don't hate him for it. He makes me laugh, and he's not too fond of the criticisms. But I'm gonna make this dude famous. I hope this guy gets like 10,000 followers one day.
Yeah, he's definitely entertaining. He's
Yes.
cracking me up.
Exactly. It's all love over here.
Yep.
All love.
Shout out to you, Chris.
If that is your real name, we're so intrigued to know who's the man behind the red cross. But anyway, so congrats, bro. So we're gonna end tonight's podcast with a story. As a story I read a few days ago. One of these non MMA related stories, but it's heartbreaking. It's very sad, kind of infuriating, and it's kind of funny too. But it's mostly sad. So there was this woman in England who has a assistant guide dog, and as most of you have probably seen, most guide dogs are Labradors, and a lot of Labradors are hay colored, yellowish color. I think everyone's seen a dog like that before. This woman has been harassed and has been told, actually numerous times, to get off the bus. She takes public transportation, and fellow passengers have harassed her and basically accused her of faking her disability because the dog shouldn't be on the bus because the dog is black. It is not the normal. I shouldn't say normal. I should say typical yellow color that most people tend to see. So they accuse her of faking her disability so she can bring her dog on the bus. And she has explained to them that it's possible for Labradors to be black and it's actually not that uncommon, but they never believe her, or at least most people don't believe her. And she's actually kind of ashamed and scared to go out because people have harassed her so much about this because people are so ignorant.
It's so sad. You know what? When you sent me this story initially, I laughed. I'm like, what the hell? I'm being racist towards a dog now?
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And frankly, that would be almost more acceptable because that would just be funny.
Yeah.
That would be more acceptable than what's actually happening because the, this woman is at no fault, and of course the dog is at no fault. And the messed up thing is that, I mean, obviously it'd be bad enough if she was just blind and this is the way she gets around. But what's kind of tragic about it is that she it's not like she was born blind, and technically she's not really blind, but she had a bad injury earlier in life, and she gets really crazy vertigo. She can lose balance, fall over, not be able to get up. And part of the thing that can happen as well to her is that she can temporarily go blind for a undisclosed amount of time, and it'll just happen randomly. So she can be walking down the street and randomly just go black, just not be able to see anything. So for that reason is why she has the dog with her basically at all times, because she never knows when she's gonna need him. But people have accused her of being, she said, even of being drunk because of how weird she gets when these vertigo attacks and whatever hit her. Then people think that she's drugged and she's drunk and she's just some crazy young person drugged out of their minds on the bus and on the streets. So it's just a tragedy what this poor woman has to go through, but it also just shows how stupid people are. And as far as as far as us go, we're just glad that it's not happening here. This is happening in England. America has so many bad stories of people doing really stupid shit, as we've illustrated before. So thankfully, it's not happening on this side of the pond, but it really is a tragedy wherever it is happening.
Yeah. Take the L, you ignorant assholes. Like, it's so sad. It's
Yeah,
so sad. Like, we're trying to make it, at first it was funny, but if you really read it, if you look into it, it's like, it's really sad. Like, she's been spit at, like, stepped over, pushed out of the way. And she really has this condition. I'm like, oh my God, why? It's so sad. And then she's scared to go out now because she might get attacked.
yeah, that's really, and it's like I kind of get, it's not an excuse at all. I get why some of these people may be upset because maybe they're just mad at her because they think she's faking the thing, but also, there are some people who do this thing with the what do they call it? The emotional support dogs. They have like this legal piece of paper that says that they can bring their dog wherever they go because they need them for therapy reasons. So they probably think that it's something like that. It's like, well, you just love your dog so much and you can't just leave them at the house. So they're mad because they're inconvenienced by it or whatever. But it's like, at the end of the day, how long is a bus ride? Like, how much can this dog bother you? If especially those dogs tend to be very peaceful and they're very helpful. So I doubt that he's causing much of a disturbance other than people just being pricks.
Yeah, they're just triggered for all the wrong reasons, right? I mean, she's
Yeah.
just there with her puppy, her dog. That's it.
Yep.
God, man, people, man, so
People are
cruel.
just, people are just trying to live just to go on with their day, and people don't want them to have that. They're just too concerned about themselves. So
Yeah,
be better, people. I know none of you. I don't think anybody listening to this would ever do something like that, but just know that there's these assholes out in the world, and if you have a bad enough to be the wrong skin color in a certain part of cities, as you know, there are still racists around, but not even your dog is safe now.
yeah.
They're the wrong color.
God, so sad, man. Do better, people. Can we do better, please?
We can certainly try. I certainly hope that this town and these people in this town try as well, because this is just tragic. I hope they read this and see that it is genuine, that they really do need this. But Yeah, that's gonna do it for tonight. Sorry to leave on a sour note. As I said, I hope it's just educational. I hope it. Oh, I guess even if you've done questionable things, I doubt you're as bad as these people. So sorry about that. But we got fights as we started the show. As we said, we got fights this weekend. Only a few days away. It's time to get psyched for them. It's a really good card, basically from top to bottom. Sans Greg Hardy, and yeah, new format. Let's see how this goes. Maybe it's better, better pacing. I'm interested to know what the layout's going to be like with the graphics and whatnot. Let's see if they've improved from the Fox style or even the regular UFC style. And it's going to be an experience all around on Saturday, so I can't wait.
Yeah, let's all experience it together. Free trial period right now.
Yeah, if you guys haven't joined, you should join soon. Maybe do it before Saturday, as the fights are going on, so you don't miss anything. But as I mentioned in one of the previous podcasts, it is a good service, and they already have UFC stuff up too. I think you can watch the Conor Khabib fight on there already. So there's some content, and obviously there's going to be more coming on. So
Ooh, right on. I might sign up on Friday just to get it all set up, make sure it doesn't crash or anything. I wonder if it'll crash on Saturday with all the
um,
MMA fans and
I've seen a few events on the app. Granted, there are boxing events, and I don't know if they'll be as big as this card, but I certainly hope not. It seems like ESPN has good people as far as the streaming stuff goes. I think they're reputable, so I hope nothing happens. But
please.
yeah, I think we'll be good. And if it does happen, I hope it's during the Greg Hardy fight. But,
Right?
yeah,
Like
so.
who fucking cares about that guy?
And it shouldn't last long anyway, so I don't think we're gonna miss much. But yeah.
Get at that time, go on your break real quick, snack break.
Yeah, actually, weirdly enough, I posed a poll earlier in this week, and I said, "Will you leave the room or turn your screen off when Greg Hardy comes on?" And the majority said no. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but I guess it just wasn't the result I was expecting. But yeah,
Wonder
so,
if they want to see him like get knocked out or something.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what at least I'm hoping for, because I don't want to think there's actual fans of his out there. Maybe for whatever reason they're intrigued to see Alan Crowder. Who knows? But yeah, thank you guys for joining us. As always, you can like, subscribe to the podcast. We're basically everywhere: iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. Our main home is Spreaker. We're now on a new app. It's I think just an Android app. It's called Podcast Republic. I guess it has quite a few couple million downloads. So if you guys are looking for a new app to try out and you have Android, you should check that out. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at Juice_MMA, Reen at Fox with you. The Twitter account for this is at Fox with Juice. And thank you guys for joining us. Enjoy the fights. We'll catch you all next week.
See ya.